Good evening, everyone. We are back with another great race here in Division 1 of SRA Season 8. Of course, we're in Week 3, and tonight we're going to be racing at one of my favorite tracks, Donington Park. Joining me today is my best friend in the whole wide world, Mr. Josh Damiani. How are you, Josh?
I'm doing all right, sir. Just taking a look at the chat. It says at the moment there's no sound.
No
I don't
sound.
know if that was for the intro video or for us at the moment, so I'll wait for a response there.
We should have sound. I'm assuming it's going to be maybe they're talking about the intro video.
Intro only.
But
Perfect. Thank you, Max.
all right, awesome. Well, what are you
I'm
excited
doing
for
all
today,
right.
Josh?
I'm excited to be back. I mean, we can get in the servers as normal this week. Everything is running properly. I don't have to deal with not being able to land to the servers, so it'll be good to actually see some action. And this track offers a little bit of a different challenge than Coda, and that's just finding room to actually race.
Heck yeah, man. Today I am expecting a boatload of action. Speaking of action, let's look at the track map and let's talk about just where we will be expecting that action. What do you think of Donington Park, Josh?
I think it's a extremely narrow track that really leaves you no opportunity to make overtakes, and I don't really think that's a far off take by any standards. I think most drivers would agree with you there. Realistically, it's going to be anything off of these straightaways is where you're going to see some action, so possibly turn one. And I can't really read the track map right now, but I'm going to say that's turn 9, maybe even towards the hairpins at the end of the lap. It's very easy to make a mistake there, so people will probably look for switcheroo opportunities, especially onto that start-finish straight.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, like you were saying, a corner that I'm definitely going to be paying attention to is going to be turn 9. That relatively short straight leading up to it, something about it just leads drivers into action at turn 9, at least from my experience. Other than that, of course, the hairpins are going to be a big spot for overtaking. Other than that, a lot of following.
Yeah, it's really going to be about knowing your line and having some faith in your muscle memory, remembering where corners are, because when you get right up behind another car, you can't really see where the racetrack is and where it goes. So a lot of faith in yourself and your fellow driver to pick the correct line.
You are absolutely correct. Well, Josh, since it is week 3, we actually can take a look at the standings today, and they're going to mean something.
Exactly.
In the team series, we do have Comic Racing Sharks in the lead. Michael Griffith and Travis Nordstrom, of course, leading that team, but not too far behind. We do have Pillars Racing Sakura with Diego Paul Fimbricasas and Nick San. Following them up even closer is Alpha Sim Sport. And yeah, the race for the team series is on.
Yeah, there's already a little bit of a gap up at the top, as we can see, but everybody else is still really close together. And with the points you get from each individual race, it's all about consistency in Division 1.
Right. Looking at the Drivers' Championship this week, we do have Timothy Flomger in the lead. Hasn't won either of the races, but has put in really consistent results, and he's topping the leaderboard for it. Of course, following him up, we have Ed Kerstetter. He is right there because of his outstanding finish in Zandvoort. He won that one. And we have Jeremy Mercer following him up, just a few points behind. Also hasn't won a race, but in a really great spot just from those consistent results.
Yeah, and as mentioned, it's really showing early and will show throughout the season. It's not always about being able to get up to that number 1 spot. I mean, the 110 points is beautiful, but if you can stay in the top 3 every race, for example, then or in the top 5, then those points are still going to be very competitive as we go through the season.
Oh yeah, it's huge.
It is not. It's not foreign for somebody to win a championship without winning a race.
Yep.
In SRA.
Someone I'll point out here that's not on this list quite yet, but is definitely someone to look out for this race is going to be Ryan Yee. Ryan Yee's a former champion and is back. I believe this is his first or maybe second race back. I think it's his first race back, and he's going to be one to watch.
Yeah, no doubt. When people see that Ryan's out on the racetrack, they are definitely eager to get out of the way and get a good sight at what lap time he's going to put in, because it's always blisteringly fast.
Oh, yeah. And speaking of blistering fast, let's look at these D1 drivers as they are finishing up their first laps of quali.
Yeah, provisionally right now, Travis Nordstrom holds silver pole with a 26.857. Split back to Dan Cran in 13th with a 28.577, but all drivers are making up a bunch of time right now. Noticed from the practice race last night that the track started off as fast. I didn't notice if it started that way in this session, but if it did, that's going to lead to a lot of track evolution.
Yeah, track's at optimum right now, but I'm willing to bet that when it opened it up, it was fast for a few minutes.
Yeah, Michael Louis down to a 26.755. The Porsche does seem kind of quick around here.
Yeah, I like the Porsche on this track for sure. A lot of somewhat even deltas on the board at the moment. I don't think the track is ramping up quite yet. But as I say that, Booker Quigg crosses the line 2/10 up and gains a few positions. Just a bit behind him going into the chicane. Travis Nordstrom is up 3/10 on his delta and only needs one to take provisional pole, so.
Yeah, that chicane there, I think, is going to be the most critical part of qualifying and the race, really. Like, if you make a mistake there, not only in the race, it's a track cut, so that's that can lead to a penalty pretty fast. But I don't know about yourself. Whenever I'm trying to put in a good lap here, I can always seem to find something in the other corners, and then I just can't hit the chicane the same way.
I know exactly what you mean. The chicane is a lap killer. Definitely a lap killer of mine. That and I believe it's turn 5, the off-camber right-hander. I ruined so many good sector ones there. Travis Nordstrom does take pole as he crossed the line almost 5/10 up on his best time with a 26.3, which is very fast. That's a good lap. Do you think we'll see anyone get into the 25s today?
I mean, Nordstrom is currently on Delta to get pretty close.
Yeah, you're right.
But I think there's a few candidates in our gold field who just might be able to do that. But out of the silvers, I mean, we might get pretty close. It's still a big ask.
Yeah, definitely is. Currently seeing a pretty tight grid at the moment. The largest gap is exactly a second. Those guys have a lot more in the tank. See about 8 drivers all within half of a second of each other already, so interested to see just how tight the grid stays through quali. As Travis Nordstrom crosses the line, just about 3/10 up.
Oh, 26.060, so close.
He doesn't want to prove us. He doesn't want to prove anything to us just yet. He's got about 2 more laps to show us something.
Yeah, but I mean, over 4.5 tenths clear of P2. That's a pretty big statement considering how qualifying's been so far this season.
You're absolutely right. He's a fast guy. He's putting down fast times. Otherwise, still not. Well, actually, as I was just about to say something, I proved myself wrong because Booker Quigg, rounding out the final corner, is 7/10 up, now 6/10 up, and takes P2. What a jump. I think he was in P14.
505. Yeah, the drivers currently lower on the standings are having some pretty massive deltas right now. Victor Diaz up over 5.5 tenths. Ian Wheeler up almost over 3 tenths, 4 tenths now.
Yeah. Victor
So it's
Diaz
going to
goes
get
from
pretty tight
17th
here
to
in the end.
7th. Oh my gosh. I think he went a little deep. I was gonna say he was 7 tenths up. Now a measly 3 tenths up as he takes the final corner, and looks like he sticks it. Stays just about 3 tenths up and moves up to P12. Nice lap from him so far. He's got another one though.
Yeah, going to be the last lap here for the silver drivers. At that 10-minute mark, the gold drivers are free and able to head out on their laps. So it's sometimes it's about if you get to the line, and if you're me, you got to make sure you check if you also got enough fuel, because I did that the other night.
Yeah.
Got halfway through a lap and just wait a minute.
I'm always pretty conservative with my fuel, whether it's a race or quali. I've never run out of gas in a league session, and I'm looking to make sure that I never do.
Oh, it sounds like you jinxed yourself.
Dude, I'm knocking on wood.
Let's see a bit of Dan Cran, says the fans. So I'm going to throw him on in the picture-in-picture here.
Let's see him.
Hot pink Mercedes. Definitely able to pick him out of a crowd.
Let's see Michi's finish here. Wheeler down on his time by quite a bit. Doesn't look like he's going to improve. Michi up to P8. Gains 4 tenths on his time. Travis Nordstrom. Those last like 3 laps, his delta was flat. He did not. Something went on that just did not want him to get into the 25s.
Yeah, the gods forbid it tonight, that's for sure.
Dan Cran, the only one with a green delta. Maybe the last drive it across, as he's just under 2 tenths up. Moves up to P14. Nice improvement for him at the end. And the only other silver left on track is Simmons, but he's got a relatively nasty looking delta at the moment. So unless he finds a second in the last corner here, no, he just wants to practice his pin entry.
Taking a look at Ryan Yee here in the picture-in-picture. Stylish new livery to add to the grid. I think the wireframe is on top of your livery still. If that's intentional, it looks pretty sick, but if it's not, I've done that before.
It's his first day back, cut him some slack.
Yeah, let's see what he can do in that Mercedes. Already dominating most of the leaderboards, and has been even though he hasn't been registered for the season.
Fastest driver on the leaderboards for this track this week, so he's definitely going to be one to look out for. My money's on him for pole, but I know that Merc is kind of tough across the course of a race here, and I have some insider information that he might not be fully comfortable in it yet in the race. Maybe he'll prove me wrong. We'll definitely be watching.
We shall. The Twitch chat notifying me that the picture-in-picture is running at about 2.5 frames a second right now. And I am noticing that. I'm not too sure if there's something we can do about that, but between the quali and the race, we maybe take a stab at refreshing the link or something.
Sure. By the way, we had our first gold cross, as Griffith did, and those tires are not warmed up yet for these drivers, as the fastest one is half a second off. Actually, Ryan Yee crosses, and he's only 0.3 off. Currently leading the gold drivers, Ryan Yee.
And a 26.4 as your starting point is pretty solid, if I do say so myself.
Oh, yeah. Nate Specht about to round out the final corner. Looks like he's in a pretty good spot, time-wise. Maybe not. 1.7 seconds off. It's only temporary. And then P2 in the championship standings, Ed Kerstetter is going to finish his first lap. All the way up to P5. Excellent first lap from him. He's going to be one to watch.
No doubt. Definitely a driver who always seems like they've got some pace.
Oh, yeah.
Mr. Sir finishing his first lap up to P10, 26.6.
Awesome first lap from Nick. Ryan Yee crosses very down. I think he charged up his next lap there at the final corner. Not a lot of green yet. Driver's still getting accustomed to the track.
Neltac1 says, I hope for an Ed Yee battle. That would be exciting.
It'd be nice to see. I think we're all hoping for an Ed Yee battle. Flip to Diego as he was on a flyer, but we see him just skip over the chicane and unfortunately invalidated what was looking to be a very nice lap.
It's what some kids call a Ferrari moment.
That is an absolute Ferrari moment.
Patrick Rust into the penultimate corner and on his way out. Down 0.2 on his time right now.
Jeremy Mercer jumps up to P3. And Ryan Yee takes pole provisionally with a 26.03. Still doesn't want to give us that 25.
Seems ever elusive.
Oh, yeah. Now Kerstetter's approaching the Sector 3 chicane, up quite a bit on his lap. And I know he left some time on the table in the hairpins, so if he nails these, he could be potentially giving us a shot at pole. Turn 10, maybe not the best, but still relatively clean. He has a shot here. If he can gain 1/10, he'll take provisional pole. Keeps it outside, but maybe looks a little unstable on exit, but not quite enough. Goes up to P4, only 0.04 behind pole.
It's getting pretty tight up there at the top. I think it's going to take a 25 to get ahead of them.
Oh, yeah.
Falango 6 says a 125.75 is their prediction for Ryan Yee. Okay.
Well, at the moment, he is a second off his delta. I believe that's because he's charging up on the final corner. Spangler moves into P6 with a really nice lap.
And gets jumped by Dom Duran, who we were following in the picture-in-picture. Picked up a lot of time. Found 2.5 tenths very early in the lap and just kept pushing the whole way through.
Incredible lap by him. These drivers, most of them are only going to be able to squeeze 2 more in as we're approaching the end of quali. And Ryan Yee's in the pits. And if he leaves right now, we'll have another shot, but I don't know that he's gonna. He's going to be sitting in the pits and crossing his fingers that he did enough to keep pole position.
Oh, and Diego just throws the car off into the wall there. Trying to take one last stab.
It's going to spell the end of his quali as he is sitting in 21st at the moment.
Was the car once again bouncing on him in the chicane, and he just gave up, said, no, I don't want to finish the lap.
He had a Ferrari moment in his BMW, or in his, oh,
what
he is
happened?
in a Ferrari.
He is in a Ferrari. Stallworth was up 4.5 tenths coming into the last corner and just came to a stop.
I wonder
if he was
out
out
of
fuel,
gas.
that's a shame.
Something exciting is happening as Kerstetter goes through the chicane, loses a little bit of time, but not too uncomfortably. And exits turn 10. Not amazingly, but still pretty comfortably. If he just stays on par here through the final corner, he's gonna have almost enough.
You just missed it.
10 hundredths behind pole.
100th.
Oh yeah, you're right. 100th behind. 10 thousandths behind.
Keeping an eye on Jeremy Mercer, whose delta's gone up and down here as he's coming through the last corner. Gains a lot of time. Can he hold it to line?
This might just do it.
Oh
my gosh.
Even closer.
5
thousandths. My brother in Christ, we don't need to be this close. Room for the Holy Spirit.
Come on, Jeff, make us proud.
Gomer Wilson
Not quite.
up just enough on their delta to make an impact up at the top as well, coming into the last corner.
Please make us proud, Mr. Wilson. We're so close. Oh, it's not going to be quite enough as he moves into P6. Nobody's going to give us the 25 we want.
That is an absolute shame. Michael Menning coming into the last few corners here. Enough to bring himself up towards the top 10, but not to challenge the front of the pack.
No, he's going to be about 3 tenths off as it stands, unless he gains. No, he's going to jump up 3 tenths and
Kerstetter coming into the last corner as well. Oh, he goes a little deep. Did not pick up any time.
By the way, the guy topping the leaderboards, championship leader, Flomger, is in P10 from quali. That's going to spell the end of quali.
Yeah, a little theatrics from the cars there to end it off.
Yeah. Of course, no huge surprises. Of course, we see Ryan Yee take pole on his comeback debut. We see Jeremy Mercer getting extremely close. 5 thousandths is just ridiculous for a pole position. Kerstetter, P2 in the championship, is following them up in the second row with Travis Nordstrom. Then we've got Mia Rose and Gomer Wilson on the third row. Pat O'Brien and Dom Duran on the fourth row. Really epic laps from those guys. But I gotta point out, Travis Nordstrom, D1 Silver, sitting pretty in P4 at the moment, as he is leagues away from the rest of the D1 Silver drivers. Closest one is Booker Quigg, P14.
Yeah, 10 position gap to the people you're directly fighting for your individual championship is pretty comfortable, I'd say, to go into the race. And Travis does have pretty solid race pace. He's really good on his tires as well. So I think it's going to come down to how the Porsche performs versus the Audi and Lamborghini behind him.
I think you're absolutely correct. This race is going to be all about who can stay online up front without making big enough mistakes that people can get past because this is a relatively single file track. Not a lot of huge or great opportunities for overtaking unless you're really good, which, you know, many of these drivers are, so maybe they'll prove me wrong. I'm excited for it either way.
As am I. There were a few drivers, or a few people in the chat earlier talking about lap 1 incidents and predictions for tonight, and there was an over-under of lap 1 incidents placed. The bet line is at 3. What do you take, the over or the under?
I'm gonna take the under. Our D1 fellas are gonna make us proud out there. They didn't get us the 25 in quali. They're gonna make it up to us by keeping it extremely clean on lap 1. What do you think?
That would be absolutely lovely, but unfortunately I'm gonna say over. And I only say that because at a track like this, when it's so tight, one person can make a little bobble, and then the person behind them checks up, and that can sometimes be enough to spawn an incident. Not necessarily a driving standards issue, you know what I mean? Like, it just kind of forces everybody so close together that you don't really have as much opportunity to react sometimes as you would want.
Yeah, it also definitely depends on how you're defining incidents. Are we saying every time there is contact, or are we just saying every time anything happens on the grid?
Like a car spins off because of contact with a car or something like that. Like, obviously not door banging, but locks up into the back of somebody, they spin. Oh, okay, that's an incident. Or people go flying off at the chicane, which I think will happen on lap 1.
I have complete and absolute faith in our D1 guys to keep it clean.
I like chaos.
I like that too. I do like the stream to be entertaining. So,
no doubt.
If I'm wrong, they're making my job easy, right?
To a degree. I think it's a little harder when they're... yeah, no, sorry. Thought about that backwards. You are correct.
Coach Jeffries in the chat says Diego is still covered in soap. # washed.
Facts.
Hey Jeffries, if he could hear you down all the way in P23, he'd be really upset.
No. With
Just kidding, I love you, Diego. You're gonna get 10 overtakes today. I know it. I will say I'm extremely interested to see what happens between Mercer and Yi as we get closer to the start-finish line, because I know that that Audi is gonna have somewhat of a race pace / drivability advantage over the AMG. And we obviously saw in quali that Mercer had pace. So it could definitely be that whoever takes turn 1 takes the race. We'll see.
Definitely could be. I'm going to try and keep my eye on the driver starting behind the corner, because I think there should be some.
There's definitely going to be some. We're about to go. We're going. Jeremy Mercer gets an amazing start on the outside, is almost ahead. Is he going to maintain it? Ryan Yi somehow just nails that apex and skips right through, taking the lead. And there's an accident. Travis Nordstrom gets offline, and
5 cars off the track.
Pat O'Brien goes with him. We've got a lot of cars in the grass trying to rejoin. It's going to be relatively ugly. They do it somewhat clean, but Spangler picks up a drive-through. I wonder if that was an issue on start.
Yeah, that'd be an out of position on start penalty.
That really hurts. You're in P5 and something, I'm sure he thinks it's silly. I know I would. Something silly happens and now you gotta go into the pits and come out last.
Well, on the bright side, with the new pit window this season, it will at least count. Just kidding, it's a drive-through. I gotta use my brain tonight. As
True.
we've had another incident. Oh, the chicane has laid victim to 4 drivers here. Simmons and Bray. Looks like Diaz, Durance, and possibly Flaminger got caught up in that.
That was nasty. While that was going on, Kerstetter jumped Mercer. And is right on the tail. Rather, Mercer is right on his tail still. It doesn't look like he's going to be able to quite challenge him till maybe Sector 3, though. We'll see. Can Kerstetter keep up with Ryan Yee? I know the McLaren definitely has a drivability advantage in the race over the AMG at the moment. So, still going to be fun to keep track of, and we'll see how it ends up.
Exactly.
Mia Rose, by the way, after, I forget, they won the race last week, right?
I believe so.
Yeah, I think so. Diego took second. I'm thinking so. Anyways, they're back in action. They've got their livery on the car this week as they make a dive on Mercer, stick their nose in, and come out on top. They're going to be going, maybe not quite on top as they didn't get enough drive coming out of the corner, and Mercer's going to have the inside line for the final corner as he doesn't really nail the apex, but still gets decent drive coming out. Miro's going to fall in line for the moment, but then look inside and stick their nose right back in and take it. Believe they're going to enter these right-handers and come out of them in the lead. Really, really awesome driving by Rose to take Mercer like that. That's now 3 drivers in a row overtaking Mercer in the span of 2 laps, and he is just getting absolutely mugged out there right now. Maybe I was wrong about the Audi.
Yep. Big points being brought up in the chat. It is lap 2. Ryan Yee and Ed Kerstetter both have the fastest lap of the race.
Yeah, and that's actually accurate. I'm reading that they both have 127.310s right now. They have identical laps, so they both have the fastest lap. I don't think I've seen that. I've seen it in
Daniel
quali.
has a moment at the chicane. Car bouncing around, does not want to find the racetrack. And it does find the wall.
Spins around, has a sign, do a bunch of flips over him, and
That is not a paid sponsorship by McLaren.
Maybe he's going to be rejoining as he does another donut.
He's
back on track.
Had another donut.
Mia Rose sitting pretty in that podium position and snatches the fastest lap away from 2 drivers. Everything has been made right in the world. Very awesome, bright pink livery that stands out in an absolutely excellent way. Our efforts were not in vain.
It's the Audis of O'Brien and Quigg go wheel to wheel through Sector 2 here. O'Brien's going to try and push his issue towards the blind right-hander at the top of the hill.
Yeah.
And this is that short straightaway you were talking about earlier. That right-hander leading onto it, it's so easy to lose traction that makes it almost impossible to not go for a move into that chicane.
Yeah, there's, oh boy. Speaking
Quigg
of,
loses traction, and O'Brien's going to look down the inside for the chicane.
Robinson's
going to try and come with
looking
him.
inside. Robinson unfortunately has to back out as he touches grass. Now he's going to be under pressure from Nate Specht. Nate Specht, who's made a pretty big jump up to P11, by the way. I know a lot of drivers have pit, but P19 to P11 for the moment. Up on top, we have Ryan Yee doing Ryan Yee things, keeping everybody behind him by a second. Next up, we've got Kerstetter, who's being followed very closely by Mia Rose for the moment, who is still being followed very closely by Jeremy Mercer. Mercer's hanging in there.
Looking over the early movers. Fazli Majid up 9 spots. Nate Specht up 8 spots. Michael Louie up 10 spots. Brandon Chan up 19 spots. So a lot of people making some early moves. Some of them due to pits, as Victor Diaz and Jeff
some yellow
Spangler
flags at
went
turn
together
10.
in the penultimate chicane.
Yeah, so they both go off for the moment. Looks like they come back on track at nearly the same time, so maybe they'll keep racing. By the way, Mia Rose 1/10 behind Kerstetter for the moment. Definitely putting the challenge on. Still holds the fastest lap, but has improved it. It's now a 26.7. Gosh, that's... I wish I could do that with race fuel, let me tell you.
Yeah, it's about like peak quali pace for me.
Yeah, no kidding. Me too. Ryan Yee now 1 point. Oh, nope. I take that back. He lost some time, and Kerstetter is closing in a little bit. He's back to a second. Let me tell you, I know Kerstetter doesn't feel amazing seeing that BMW front end in his rear view as it gets extremely close, breaking into every single corner.
Yeah, it really takes a lot to not let it get to you. You gotta stay completely focused, because the moment you do take your focus away from the track in front of you and start looking at the car behind, especially on a track like this, you make mistakes.
Oh yeah. I'm sure that Kerstetter is stone cold, and it's probably not getting into him too much, but I know that when I'm in the car and I see a BMW in my rear view, it's pretty much the last car I want to see back there. It's going to outbrake me on every corner, it feels like. When you're in something like the McLaren, whose brakes maybe aren't the absolute best, that only exasperates that. We saw Mia Rose get caught up in the grass a little bit, and Jeremy Mercer has caught up. By the way, Kerstetter still closing the gap on Ryan Yee by a little bit. His last lap was about 0.2 faster than Yee's, and he's about 0.2 closer than we last checked. The fact that Kerstetter's closing that gap and, you know, even keeping it close is huge to me. I think that means a ton, because one little slip up on track, one little goof in the pits, and the position's yours when you're this close. And
That is correct.
He's doing that. He's keeping Ryan Yee close to him, and even getting closer to Ryan Yee despite what seems to us to be just insane pressure from Mia Rose behind him. Pretty impressed with his drive so far. As the top three are now within 1.2 seconds of each other. That is an insanely close podium fight for all three positions. And Mercer's not far behind. Other than that, we've got Fazli Majid. He is running in 7th, and he's pushing on to Rust. He's getting close. It's fluctuating a little bit back and forth, but he's been pretty consistently under 1 second. And then we've got Travis Robinson in P10. He's been half a second behind Booker Quigg for a while, trying to take P9. But he, of course, has a lot of pressure on him from Nate Specht just behind him, who's also only a half second away. Michael Michi in the pits, by the way.
Victor Diaz tries to drift to the last corner, doing some braking in the grass, and didn't work out too well. Lost a few positions, but he's back and running again.
Still sitting in P17. Looks like it cost him about 5, maybe 6 seconds. Nate Specht getting even closer to Travis Robinson for P10. And Mia Rose still holds the fastest lap by about 0.2. We're definitely seeing some pseudo gaps build between our leaders at the moment. They're all staying pretty dang close to each other. The on-screen distance for the moment can be deceiving, as they are only about half a second off. Maybe a little less. But they haven't been quite in position to make a challenge just yet. Not for a little while at least.
And it's still super early in the race. Like, you don't really want to show your hand this early. You make a wrong move and ruin the tires now. That's a long way to carry that rubber.
Yeah, if the driver in front's not giving you an opportunity to overtake them, you definitely don't want to. But we've seen some overtakes. Mia Rose took Mercer. Herstetter took Mercer. And Kerstetter still keeping that gap to Ryan Yee very slim. Once again, despite that pressure from Rose. But Ryan Yee improves on his best lap by a little bit, by about 10th, and he's trying to pull away. It's not quite letting him just yet, though. Travis Robinson got 5 spots at the start of the race. Really good jump. Coach Jeffries in the chat says, put some respect on Nate's name. Couldn't agree more. By the way, Kerstetter's gap has fallen after he put in a 27.9, which to me still seems like a pretty quick lap. He has lost about 8/10 due to it to Ryan Yee, and Mia Rose is still on his tail. But will they get a good jump down this straight towards the chicane? Looked a little bumpy coming out of that corner, so I don't think so.
Nate chasing Travis around the outside in Sector 2, holds on to the apex. It's going to leave him the better line into the blind right-hander. Travis is going to be forced off into the dirt. And that's going to let Michael Louie come through as well.
Yeah, awesome move by Nate there. Travis maybe a little too careful, gives him more space than he probably should have, going through that corner, and pays an unfortunate price going wider than he expected. Awesome overtake by Nate there. Put some respect on his name. Now Michael Louie gonna challenge him though. He is staying really close to Nate. Tries to take him on the outside. Is that a blue flag?
Mr. Sir makes a great overtake over JD Daniel in the penultimate corner. That's going to let Dylan Stallworth challenge him now on the outside. He's got enough overlap at the apex. He's going to be able to hold it, but that's because JD's opting to go into the pits. Now Diego's going to have a chance at Dylan, looking to make a move around the outside at turn 1. Very unconventional. Checks up and tries to get the better run.
He's got a good run, but it's hard to get your car in a position to make an overtake down into turn 3, turn 2, 3. Still sticking really close to him. It's going to be interesting to see how they take turn 5 and 6. It's going to go through turn 5 extremely close. Pretty dang close to him on turn 6, but not quite enough to make a move. And they have similar exits, which I don't think is going to lead him an opportunity in the chicane. They both get through the chicane pretty clean, as they are losing space to Mr. Sir. Oh, Diego gets through on the inside after he watches him go deep, but doesn't have quite enough drive to get ahead enough for the final corner. Still getting extremely close. Maybe he loses out on the straight a little bit. That AMG is definitely going to be walking away from people today on the short, very short straights that are on this track. But that's not what counts today. What counts today is staying online and being consistent. Still, Diego actually looks up the inside for a move at turn 5, but doesn't stick it. Looks like he got a slightly superior exit there coming out of turn 6. Still not going to be enough to make a challenge going into the chicane though. Brakes a lot later and gets closer, but once again, not quite enough drive coming out of it to make an opportunity happen in the first hairpin. What about the second hairpin? There's not going to be enough there either.
Into the pits.
He pit from P13. P12. Yeah, P13, P12. One of those. Let's check back in with Mia Rose. Rose still holding on to the fastest lap of a 26.7. Also has the fastest last lap. Now that Kerstetter's fallen off of Ryan Yee a little bit, it's been a challenge between these two. You could see there for a brief moment that Michael Menning was getting really close to Jeremy Mercer, just a little bit behind him. You can see him there again. Who do we have in picture there?
That is 23rd through 26th, Griffith, Wilson, Reck, and Durand.
Pretty big train for the moment. And Spangler too. Spangler's leading that pack. All of those drivers have pit, of course.
Durand's going to look to the outside in the penultimate chicane. Sam's going to do a great job defending the apex, but go late and leave the door open for Durand to have a good drive down to the last hairpin. This braking point's going to be important for them both, but Durand's already well ahead. And that's an overtake.
Rose is extremely close coming out of the first hairpin. Doesn't quite get the drive to make a similar challenge in the last one though. Or do they? Yeah, I just don't think that BMW's got enough traction coming out of corners to really make anything happen against these McLarens. By the way, a bit of a sleeper car here this week. We have 4 Audis in the top 10.
Yeah, it really is showing the fruits of the labor. It was said early on in the season that the Audi is technically the fastest car if you can drive it. Brandon Chan collecting a big moment there. Holy. That was a lot of dirt coming through Sector 1, but great job to keep the car straight.
Yeah, he's alive.
But yeah, the hard work pays off, and that car that is an absolute handful to drive, as many say, can actually put out some pretty good pace.
Yes, it can.
So Diego's going to try and make a move here on Dylan as they come towards the blind right-hander of turn 8. Both get a good drive through 9, or through 8. I don't know. I look at that as 2 corners, but I guess you can call it 1.
Right?
Oh, as Dylan gets off in the grass, and it's definitely going to give Diego the chance here up the inside.
Yeah, Diego makes a move.
There's the braking point. He's going to have track space going into the last corner.
Gets really good drive, so he sticks it. Yeah, takes it. That's an overtake. Count it. By the
Cody's
way,
actually technically the fastest car at every track, Falango. According to, I believe that was a Go sheet.
I think it was SRA.
Maybe. Fasley makes an overtake on Peter O'Brien. Let's see if we can catch a replay of that in the picture-in-picture. Gets up the inside heading into turn 8 and just capitalizes on the ability to take the corner from the preferred line.
Just bullies him out of the way. Cleanly, but it's a nice move to make on this track.
Dan Cran update. Dan Cran is in P29, 6.4 seconds off the car ahead of him. And just threw a yellow flag because I said something.
Oh no.
So you can blame Arch's 2K there, Mr. Cran.
Dan Cran currently on a beach vacation.
Oh, gets unsteady coming through Sector 1. Same place that Chan almost lost the car, actually, just unfortunately wasn't able to save it.
Fazli Majid, I believe, just got overtaken by Pat O'Brien.
We got a sniper in chat. I like it. I mean, I don't like it, but that's also my kind of humor.
Gotta watch out for those chat snipers, you know? Heroes has slowly been getting closer and closer to Kerstetter, vying for an opportunity to make a move. They are keeping this fight for P2 pretty interesting for us, I will say.
Dom Duran goes for a look around the outside of Griffith. I looked away and looked back, so I was not sure if that was a defensive or overtaking move, but very clean for the two of them to make it through that corner.
Either way. I don't think I've seen the gap between Kerstetter and Rose rise above a second all race. Been pretty consistently at half a second or even less. By the way, Majid takes his position back from O'Brien. Says, yeah, I'll let you hold on to that position for a lap, maybe two, but takes it right back. Though Pat O'Brien looks on the inside, gets on the inside, and little aggressive overtake there, keeping him wide. Does have good drive, but not quite enough to stay ahead for the final corner, as Quigg actually takes a look up the inside and stays alongside down the pit straight. Peter O'Brien's gonna have better line, is gonna keep his position for now. Really nice attempt from Quigg, but
we are halfway through, keep pushing.
now we have our own little miniature train fighting for P7. Majid's trying to hold on to that position as Booker Quigg, then Nate Specht, and Pat O'Brien all vie for it. Pat O'Brien's gonna look on the outside as Majid says the inside line is mine here, fella. Takes the corner well enough to get good drive on the way out, but is going to do the same thing. The inside line is mine. Pat O'Brien swings a little wide, clearly got better traction there, and once again has to look to the outside if he wants to make an overtake, as Majid is just defending the heck out of him to keep that position. And it worked for a couple corners. But on the fourth attempt, O'Brien gets through once again. Awesome racing there. But Majid still very close, just a 10th off. Obviously right on his tail. That Lamborghini is showing up to fight against these Audis. Bosley takes a look down the inside, but decides it's not time yet. Files in and secures a solid exit. But might just be forced to fall in line with Majid here, with O'Brien here.
Wheeler, Nordstrom, and Bray are all fighting over the same space of racetrack right now. Just filed into 3 as I said something, but they all took turns at going too wide with each other through Sector 1. I believe Nordstrom walked out of that with an overtake.
Excellent work from those fellows. Mr. Sir's out there making us proud tonight, leading those who've pit. I am very interested to see when it all shakes up, what it all comes down to in terms of where that puts him. He's had Diego on him for a while, so it looks like maybe he doesn't have the greatest ability to put down hot laps right now. Still driving pretty comfortable up there.
Just past the halfway point of the race, and I mean, if you're not comfortable at this point, you're in a bad spot.
I'm never comfortable.
Fair.
Michael Louis goes into the pits. Diego's still right on the back of Mr. Sir. Right on him. Diego's been an absolute challenger today, as we've seen him doing exactly this to like 3 or 4 drivers already. Diego looks up the inside, but whoa! Mr. Sir darts across the track to take the inside line from him before he could get a chance. Fins really well there as both of them come out clean, but Mr. Sir is still ahead. Now is Mr. Sir going to keep the inside line here? He might not. But Diego's not going to have enough to make the challenge, as Nate Specht is coming out of the pits right behind him. That puts Nate in 16th, maybe 17th. We'll see here in a moment. puts him in 17th. He's got about 4 drivers in front of him that haven't pit. And he's pretty dang close to all of them, so not a bad spot to be in. Once again, Diego sticking super close to the back of Mr. Sir, but super close just isn't good enough, apparently. Not here in Donington. I see somebody go very wide in the picture-in-picture. I'm going to assume that was a blue flag letting people through. Mr. Sir has been doing an excellent job keeping Diego behind him. With that, let's check on Mia Rose, who, surprise, surprise, is still right on the back. Kerstetter. Only about 0.3 off as they pick up a drive-through. Mia Rose picks up a drive-through from what I assume is track limits. It comes from the chicane, which is quite a fear of mine on this track. That chicane is so dang easy to cut. And that's just incredibly unfortunate from Rose. Gonna serve it immediately.
Off and narrowly misses another car.
Oh, just goes way too deep on turn 6, huh?
And then tried to come back parallel with the track, and the grass jumped him across the road. Almost collected another car in the process.
Right. Now we see Mia Rose, who was in 3rd and was vying for P2. Is forced to take a drive-through penalty, serves it immediately, and comes out on track in P7 following Pat O'Brien. That's heartbreaking. I'll tell you somebody who isn't brokenhearted about it, though, is Jeremy Mercer, as he has inherited a provisional position 3 podium spot. Though he does have Michael Menning just 1 to 2 tenths behind him. Both of those drivers realizing they're now fighting for a podium. It's their lucky day. Majid stuck it up the inside of turn 10, the first hairpin. Gets alongside on the way to the last hairpin, but doesn't get through that corner well enough, and Majid stays ahead. By the way,
Bray
Mia
looks
Rose,
like he's gonna have a run on Ian Wheeler here down towards turn 9, going wheel to wheel. Not quite ahead, but they're both going to go through side by side. Good job from both of them to stay in the track limits. Little bit loose from Bray, and that's going to let Spangler come through.
Yeah, Bray.
At least in for a fight.
Bray got a little shaky.
Oh,
no.
And tries too hard to keep the position, ends up driving into Ian.
Yep.
Spangler says, I'll take the free real estate, and these two are now going to have to do it all over again.
Yeah, and Spangler was not really involved in that contact, or wasn't involved in that contact, so it's not on him. He has no obligation to give that position back or anything. Wheeler just unfortunately gets tapped and loses a position to somebody else because of it. Hate to see it. By the way, Mia Rose, after serving their drive-through, went ahead and got into the pits again to make their pit stop happen. They've come out in P14, but very unfortunately, they've picked up a stop-go 30 from what I'm assuming was a speeding in the pits penalty. And what has gone from good to bad has, of course, gone from bad to worse, as Mia Rose is not going to be happy about the result they're getting tonight, despite incredible effort otherwise. As they go right back into the pits to serve it. I think that's their third pit stop in like 4 laps. That really hurts. Minning and Mercer keeping it interesting for us as they are fighting for that podium spot. They're the only ones in the top 10 who are currently in a fight. I don't think either of these guys would have it any other way.
Looks like Stallworth has pulled off to the side of the road and elected to return to pits. I think that's going to be the end of his race for the night.
Yeah, from P29. Oh, I can't say that I blame him, although he would be missing out on points. I think even last place gets points in this race, right?
They do, yes.
Buddy calls it. He drops out.
It's unfortunate. Just another 5-10 minutes away from hitting the threshold of enough laps completed. You may have already got there already. I'm not too sure of what the percentage is off the top of my head.
Nate's backed, getting extremely close. Tries to look up at the inside in turn 6, but San is gonna cover that up. Nate does get a really good exit out of turn 6 though. And I think Nick Sand's gonna be forced to keep an inside line here, although he does start to pull away in that Ferrari. How do they take the chicane? Nate takes it significantly better, is immediately going to start peeking up the inside and already has overlap. He's going to dive on in, keep his nose in. I just don't think he was able to maintain enough speed to make it really work. He's now on the outside and is now behind Nick Sand. Does get a really nice angle coming out of that last corner though, so Nick Sand's going to be forced to keep an inside line. Is Nate going to kind of dive in here? He doesn't. Just looks to take the better line and come out with a little more speed. Travis Nordstrom just took Sam Reck, followed by Sam Reck retaking that spot from Travis Nordstrom. Travis now 2/10 behind, so it looks like that is here to stay. Nate's on the inside of turn 5 here. Dives in, keeps the inside, has the better line, shakes him off a little bit, and into the dirt. That's going to be a close one, but I think he probably managed to stay tight enough to the inside that even though there was contact, I don't think it was necessarily his fault. It didn't look like he went wide or anything. It's going to be a close one. As that was going on, Diego very briefly overtook Mr. Sir in turn 10, that first hairpin. Mr. Sir takes it right back. Michael Minning still only 4/10 behind Jeremy Mercer, fighting for P3. looks like Nate's now only got Diego ahead of him by a few seconds, but looks like whoever it was he was battling has maybe gone into the pits. Ryan Yee, our race leader, went into the pits and comes out. Where is he going to come out? That's a Lamborghini in front of him. I'm assuming it's the Lamborghini of Majid. So it looks like he'll be in P7. Comes out in P7. Still a couple people who have not pit behind him. That's just the pace he has, man.
Nordstrom takes a look to the inside in the last hairpin, and it looks like he's going to be able to hold that move down towards turn 1. Oh, and Samrak misses his braking point and dives up the inside. Travis Nordstrom switches back. Gets the inside again. This looks like it could have a spicy end to it. Nordstrom once again holds onto the position. All the while, Spangler in the background's just licking his chops, waiting for some extra free real estate. Where's that Bray? Oh, that is someone else. That is a lapped car.
Yep. Well, guys, I've been looking and waiting for a slow moment to do this, but this race has been just too interesting for us, and we haven't been able to find a break. But really quick, I want to give us a shout out to our sponsors. A huge thank you to our title sponsors and sponsors for supporting us here at SRA, as well as support from Documise, a modern business solution for product management. Go to documise.com to learn more today. And support from Retro Saga, a North American-based gaming company that provides accessories for your favorite classic systems, including Nintendo, Sega, PlayStation, and much more. Enhance your retro gaming experience today at retrosaga.ca. And a big thank you to our affiliates, Track Racer. Experience redefined gaming with Track Racer's high-quality sim rigs and accessories. Use code SRATE at checkout to support us. Armamentario, a toolbox for ACC that'll enhance your chance to win. Enjoy a fully customizable and enhanced HUD to change the way you experience ACC. And finally, to Go Setups, premium esports setups for everyone. Use our affiliate link on our Discord and take your drive to the next level. Back to the racing. Of course, Minning still keeping it very interesting for us. Fighting for what looks like P2 at the moment, but is really the final podium spot of P3. Down in P7, Ryan Yee's been following Majid very consistently, about a half second behind him. Hasn't been super fast. He's in the high 27s, low 28s for the moment. He's definitely going to want to get past Fosley, or Fosley's going to need to be moving quicker with Ryan in tow if Ryan wants to keep that P1 position, because I believe when he pit, he was only like 2 seconds, maybe a little less, ahead of Kerstetter. And if Kerstetter can keep doing what he's doing, which is mid-27s, it won't be too long till maybe he gets close enough to snatch that spot. Marty Missile says so many late pit stops for some reason. Yeah, no kidding, man. Still 10 drivers on the track who haven't pit, and there's only 8 minutes left. I know I can kind of resonate with them. Sometimes I feel like on certain tracks, when you pit, it's just hard to get your car to come back to life. Ryan Yee looks up the inside, begging and pleading for Fazli to let him through, but he doesn't. Does Fazli Majid have it in with Ed Kerstetter? Of course, he's not obligated to let him through, as they are technically racing for position here. There's no blue flag. Ryan's gonna have to just keep staying close and either hope that Majid lets him through or that he gets an opportunity to pass him. As Majid goes into the pits, Ryan Yee is stoked to be able to do laps. It's like Dom Duran picked up a drive-through. I'm gonna assume that was track limits, as I believe he's been served his pit stop. Diego still trying to take this position from Mr. Sir, as they are leading that pack of drivers who haven't pit, that aren't Ryan Yee. And Fazli Majid comes out of the pits just behind them. So the way it's shaking up right now, P11 is P6 once all is said and done. P6, give or take. Mr. Sir is going to be extremely happy about that, as he started P21. So that would be a really incredible drive for him if it does shake up that way. Looking in chat, they were all wondering why Yee pit when he did. I couldn't tell you. I don't think he caught traffic. I think he was running in relatively free air. Germs 1456 says that it's a bad day for the Chungus in D1. Couldn't agree more. Surprisingly bad, even. They're completely outside of the top 10 despite having all of the pace, it seemed like. Really, they're completely off my screen entirely. I'm not sure how many there are in D1. I know Duran's in one, and I know that Mia is in one. Both of them did pick up unfortunate penalties, though. So they were running well for a while, but a while wasn't long enough. Still a huge night for the Audis. 4 of them in the top 6. Decent night for the McLarens. 3 in the top 10. One of them is currently in the lead, though that might change depending on Ryan's pace. Ryan Yee was, of course, our race leader before he pit. By the way, Josh, the under one. I think I counted 2 incidents on lap 1. It was a oh boy. Diego gets the inside. There's contact as Mr. Sir turns in. Mr. Sir somehow gets really good drive and stays ahead. Maybe that was Diego letting him through after that contact. So. Anyways, yeah, lap 1 we saw 2 large incidents. They were ugly, but still 2.
Yeah, definitely. Ooh.
Pit lane's going to be ending soon, so you're going to see drivers come in if they have them. I think the only ones remaining are Booker Quigg and Kerstetter. Very interested to see how it shakes up for Kerstetter, who just entered the pits. And I think Booker Quigg, in about 20 seconds, will be doing the same thing. Ryan Yee is behind a blue flag and is going down the main straight as Kerstetter is approaching the end of the pit lane. Ryan Yee is going to take the spot back by a solid margin. I'm relatively surprised that it wasn't closer. Kerstetter is going to come out of the pits, still in P2, but about 2.5 seconds behind Ryan Yee. I was thinking it must have been because of a bad pit stop, but no, that wasn't it. They both had a identical pit stop of 28 seconds. So I guess Ryan Yee was able to make those laps count, and despite traffic, put down some really good laps, as I think he actually came out with a bigger gap than there was when he went in. Really epic driving from him. Can't say that I'm too surprised.
Is anybody?
I don't think anybody's surprised. Ryan Yee, the legend, approaches the final corner just as we run out of time in this race. He's going to bring it home. Kerstetter behind him. He's going to take P2. Pretty awesome drive from him. P4 to P2. Mercer's taking that final podium spot that there was quite a battle for during that race. Of course, Minning gave it his best. P4 is where he'll finish. And then going down the line, we've got Patrick Rust. Rust taking P5. Mr. Sir taking P6. Huge race from him, followed by Diego, O'Brien, Quigg, Majid, Specht, and P11. Nice drive from him. Sparks, Louis, and then Good, Sand, Wilson, Michi, Chan, Nordstrom, and Rek will finish in P20. Awesome.
Yeah, while all the shenaniganery was going on, Travis Robinson got spun in the penultimate corner. Unfortunately, lost 10 positions in the last finishing bit of the race there, down to P22.
That is really tough. You hate for that to happen on the final lap. By the way, gotta shout out Mr. Sir. Mr. Sir qualified P21 and took P6. Just below him, Diego qualified P23rd and finished P7. Couple of Genuinely incredible drives from those two guys.
Yeah, a lot of really strong performances tonight.
I couldn't be more impressed from a couple of those guys. Mr. Sir making us proud, eh?
Always.
We're gonna settle down here and wait for the drivers to file into the cool down room so that we can pull them in for their post-race interviews. Of course, we've got Ryan Yee just absolutely showing out for us tonight. We're also gonna be visited by Kerstetter, hopefully, and by hopefully Mercer. Right? Mercer took P3, right?
I believe so.
I can't wait to hear from a couple of these guys. I want to know what the heck happened while Yee was in traffic and lapping after the pits. How the heck did he stay ahead? Fazli Majid says he tried to hold him up for Ed, for Kerstetter. Wasn't enough. Ryan Yee still came out 2 seconds ahead. All right, I'm going to go ahead and get Ryan Yee in here. Hey, Ed, you're in the booth. Congratulations on a well-fought P2.
Hey, Cody. Thanks. That was a handful, I'll tell you.
No kidding, man. I know after you saw Ryan Yee pit with like 10 minutes to go or something, maybe 20 minutes to go, that really must have felt like an incredible opportunity to just drive and see if you can outlap him during that stint. What was going through your head?
Yeah, exactly that. I was surprised to see him duck in because I didn't think there'd be clean air back there. And, the car was really good in the beginning, really stable, and I was just trying to bide my time behind him. But I got rear-ended a little bit, got some rear-end damage, and from that point on, like 40 minutes into the race, it was sliding all over the place. So, he was pacing pretty well when he dove in the pits. I thought, oh, maybe he'll get held up by some traffic. It looks like he did a little bit, and I wish I wouldn't have been so conservative entering the pits and took a little bit extra fuel just in case the game decided I had an extra lap or something. I think that probably cost me like a second and a half. Yeah, Ryan was just solid out there.
Yeah, your pit stops were actually identical, and I think you lapped better in the stint where after he had pit. But I'm thinking you must have just lost time shortly after getting rear-ended to him and wasn't quite able to make the full comeback happen.
Yeah, I think I probably lost like 2 or so tenths. I think it just took away like all the rear downforce, so the car was super stable, and I could really like keep it in check without sliding the rears. And as soon as that happened, it started sliding all around. So that lost a little bit. But yeah, I think had I had to do it over again, other than that, I would have probably tried to send it a little bit more in into pit lane, and then just took the 1 liter of fuel instead of trying to add extra. It would have been a little bit tighter, but maybe next time.
Yeah, still an incredible drive. P2 is nothing to be sad about here. Everything to be happy about, especially coming from a P4 quali. And I believe you got 2 overtakes done on like lap 2 or something like that.
I think it was P3 because I was on the inside, and then I think it was Mercer. I don't know. I think I did a little. The whole D1 chat was about the block pass. I unintentionally did that because I didn't know where the breaking point was on the inside, and luckily he gave me some room, and I was able to get around him and pull away a little bit. But yeah, it was a good first lap for sure, especially at this track.
Awesome stuff. And I'm sure that Mia Rose was giving you a run for your money for a while there too. I know It looked like she was about a half second to 2/10 behind for like the entire time she was out there.
Yeah, it was interesting. The BMW was super strong, like on the straights. I don't know if it was because of the rear end damage or not, but she was able to pull a ton there. And then the last sector, those two like hairpins, I couldn't get in them and I couldn't get out of them, regardless of what I
Yeah.
did. And she was really strong in the BMW. So I think in the middle sector, I would gap, and then she would close. She had a better car. Uh, it, in there, it's unfortunate she ended up having I think a drive through for track limits, and
Yep.
and then maybe speeding or something on top of that. I think it was like a double whammy.
Yeah, I
But
think that's exactly what it was.
yeah, but I think if I was making the car kind of wide, especially with the little contact there, kind of didn't want her to pass. But I think if she would have gotten around, she would have been able to give Ryan a little run there.
Well, you guys all still kept it interesting. It was fun to watch from the booth. Congratulations again on P2.
Thanks.
We'll see you next time.
I appreciate it, guys. See you next week.
See ya. Ryan Yee, we got you in the booth here. Congratulations on a stellar win tonight.
Thank you.
How you feeling after that?
So I was a little bit angry in the last 10 minutes because somebody was holding me up, but luckily it didn't cost me.
Well, we were sitting here like, why did he pit? There's just traffic. Fosley's not letting him through. He's not getting around him.
Well, I was getting comms from some other people that the traffic that was directly in front of me wasn't behaving very well, so I decided to avoid that instead.
That makes sense. Well,
yeah.
You still pulled it out. I think Kerstetter managed to gain a couple seconds on you during that stint, but you were still well ahead by the time he came out of the pits.
Yeah. Luckily for me, I think he had some other time loss somewhere.
Yep.
So I lost like maybe 3 or 4 seconds, and then I had 2 seconds before going into the pits.
Yeah,
on the Ed, and then it was another 2 seconds when he came out. So
yeah, it sounds like maybe around the 40-minute mark, he was actually rear-ended and had some aero damage, so he was losing time every lap.
Yeah, it didn't seem like it, I'll tell you that.
Yeah, right. We thought it was going to be really close. I had my camera watching him coming out of the pits, and I was sure it was going to be close, but you managed to just tuck it in and get some really nice laps down while you were in clean air after the pits, which wasn't a lot of the time, but
yeah, it's my first race in this, or I guess second race in this car. I did a spa race before, so had a lot of grinding to do this week to figure out how to drive it and what it likes. And I guess it all paid off, so we'll take it.
Seems like you did indeed figure it out. We were talking about how the AMG kind of struggles for race pace, as it's not really the most comfortable car to drive a long distance and with a full fuel load. How did you feel about overcoming that, and whether that's actually true or not?
Yeah, just judging by the quali times I laid down in practice, I was off by like, say, 3 or 4 tenths for race pace. But if I went and tuned the setup so I could do 3 or 4 tenths with fresh tires, it'd fall off like halfway through. So I just decided to have it a little bit understeery to start, understeer throughout the stint. But at the cost, or as a result, I wouldn't have as much pace drop off. It wasn't nearly as bad. And I was really kind of just banking on other people falling off. But I got lucky at the start because Mia was on the end of Ed. That cost them a few seconds, and those are the seconds I needed.
Yep, absolutely was. You got, I wouldn't say lucky, but got through by the skin of your teeth during quali, as I think you were challenged by like 4 thousandths? 5 thousandths?
Yeah, it's 5 thousandths to Ed, another, it's 10 thousandths to Jeremy.
Yep.
It's like 7 of us within a tenth or something silly.
Well, great seeing you again. I'm looking forward to hearing more from you in the future. Congratulations on your win on your debut comeback race.
Thank you. Have a good night.
You too. Congrats again. And last but not least, Jeremy, we've got you in the booth here. You got a really nice P3 in tonight. How you feeling?
Pretty good. Again, it's better than I expected. I didn't have the best consistency, but my potential pace actually ended up being pretty good. Didn't get it every lap, but it's pretty good.
Pretty good's pretty dang good when you got P3, my man. I know it was a somewhat inherited position. I shouldn't say inherited because, you know, we all saw it. You fought your heart out for it with, who was it? P4 gave you a run for your money.
Oh, yeah. He was trailing me the whole race, and he was keeping me honest the whole time.
That he was. I know we were pretty excited when we saw Mia got the drive-through. What was going through your mind when you saw that?
I realized that a podium was then possible again, because the top three were a little bit quicker than me on average, and I didn't think I had the potential to pass or catch them. So yeah, gets me a free spot back, so I'll take it.
Absolutely. Yeah, we were watching thinking, oh man, this would be so exciting. P4 and P5 just became P3 and P4, and those two guys are realizing what could very well be. Anyways, you were awesome. How'd that car treat you through the race tonight?
It's a bit finicky. I'm still getting used to driving it, but its pace is very good. It's just a challenge. So.
Well, you put it on the podium. We couldn't be more proud of you here.
Thanks.
So, congratulations again tonight. Anyone you want to shout out or anything like that?
The TSC tier sim racing. It's my team. Do a lot of good organization, and I guess also help me get into other races as well, which is nice. So it's a good team. So I appreciate them. And Javier, who is unfortunately unable to race now because his pedals died on him, but he's still leading the team. So I really appreciate that.
He's a good man. Congratulations again tonight. Go get some rest.
Thank you.
We'll see you again soon, hopefully. All right, Josh. I think that just about wraps us up tonight. Do you remember?
I think so.
Do you remember where we're racing next? Is it Nürburgring?
Oh man, you put me on the spot so much.
I think it is. Spoiler alert, I think it is Nürburgring.
Next is Nürburgring, that's correct.
Awesome. Can't wait.
Yeah, it's a personal favorite of mine. Not necessarily one of my faster tracks, but it always produces some good racing. It's eventful. And I don't know, it's kind of fun. I like it.
I don't dislike it. I have a hard time on it, but I still like it. I'm excited. Come back and watch us again next week, guys.
And don't forget to watch us tomorrow, as me and Cody get to struggle as well as all the rest of our commentators.
Exactly. Have a good night from me and Josh and the rest of SRA. Enjoy yourself. We'll see you tomorrow. We'll see you next week. We'll see you whenever.
Take it easy.
It has been the longest off-season of SRA. The rust has been wiped off and the cars are revved up and ready to go. Welcome to SRA.
We're on the way for SRA.